The Munich Security Conference came at an incredible time in the backdrop of the worst humanitarian crisis in Europe since World War II. The takeaways from Munich really struck me that it was dominated by the three leaders who actually were absent from Munich. President Putin, whose bullying set the agenda, Chancellor Merkel, whose leadership was very much praised but everyone concerned about the fragility of Europe, and the United States, President Obama, whose reluctance to put the United States at the center of some of these global challenges means that the situation might even get worse in the near term. And I think those three themes really played out. Last year it was about Ukraine, this year it was about Syria, but the common denominator was Russia and Mr. Putin, and really an effort that we see from the Kremlin to tear at the seams of the world order that the United States and Europe helped build. I think the United States has great expectations for Berlin, for Germany, for the Chancellor in particular. President George Herbert Walker Bush came to Germany in 1989 and talked about the potential of partners in leadership with Germany and the United States. Germany wasn't ready to hear that message at the time. Now I think Germany is. We believe that Germany should be a normal country, and as a normal country that means Germany should be a great power, and that means diplomatically, economically, and yes, as well on the security and defense sphere. The Chancellor, in particular, has ensured that Germany has been in the lead of helping to hold Europe together. We wouldn't have sanctions but for the Chancellor. Even the European Union may not have held as firmly as it has but for the Chancellor. And if we're going to have a solution to the migrant crisis and other challenges, it will be because the Chancellor is at the heart and center of that. This does mean we've seen Germans becoming more comfortable with leading economically, leading diplomatically. We're prepared to see the Germans become more partners with us, with the Brits, with the French on security and defense as well. There's an urgency to that task and one that we hope the Germans are ready to embrace. So right now Europe is facing incredible historic challenges, being challenged from the mischief-making from the east and from the collapse of states in the south, and yet there's a real challenge and weakness at the core of Europe right now. Part of what is essential, I think, to help us weather this is to keep the transatlantic unity strong, to bolster the alliance itself, the NATO alliance, while ensuring that the European Union holds. So part of what we're hoping to see play out, if you're going to deal with the challenges from the East and the South, the greatest check on Mr. Putin's games, if you will, is a united Europe and a strong alliance. And so as we head to a Warsaw summit, it's important to see a strategy that bolsters the alliance, moves it east, keeps the alliance unified, both in being able to deter potential adversaries and deter any potential games from the Kremlin, while also focusing on projecting stability. The European Union holding together on sanctions, holding together by keeping the United Kingdom in, by remaining strong is the best hope that Europe has to manage issues, whether it's efforts from the Kremlin to divide Europe or to manage the refugee crisis in a coherent way. So look, this is complex. There are no easy answers. I mean, part of the reason the United States is reluctant to get involved is because we've seen experiences of Iraq. We understand that this is likely to play out over a long time. That said, by sitting back, we're seeing the problems on the streets of Germany today. We actually don't have the luxury to not be involved. So I think first there's an effort to focus on how we actually get the refugee migration crisis under resolution. There are two aspects to that: a more assertive strategy in Syria to help foster a process towards a peaceful settlement there, combined with a more aggressive approach to building a refugee migration infrastructure that manages these flows. I think the United States, working with Berlin, with Athens, with Ankara, could come to some type of agreement to maintain the humanitarian impulse to welcome refugees, but to do so by maintaining public support, by showing that it's a controlled process and that you can limit these numbers, and reaching an agreement where we handle repatriation decisions on the borders, and we do a much better job of caring for the communities on the borders, the border states of Syria. But you've got to combine that with a much more assertive policy in terms of the assertive policy in Syria, policy how we actually destroy ISIL, Daesh, while sustaining and supporting the Syrian opposition force to Assad. And it's going to take a doubling down on the politics, on the humanitarian side, and on a military strategy.